perception and like your vision and everything is like just a fraction of what is actually going
That
on
freaks me out
around
a
you.
little bit.
That scares me too. Like,
Hello, welcome back. Now we're in the bonus content of Another Latino with a podcast with Michael Myers. And we're going to talk about something that I saw on Reddit and is really interesting. I didn't know that this existed, but to get into this, I have to read you the story. I can resume a little bit, but I believe it's better if I just read it. So let me find it. Is this? Okay. This post is called I'm Convinced We Died 3 years ago. So, my best friend and I are currently spiraling because an event we survived together has somehow been rewritten. For reference, we don't drink or do drugs. We are 22 now, but when we were 19, we went on a trip to a rural coastal area in Greece. We have discussed this specific day a million times over the last 3 years, and our memories of it are identical down to the smallest detail. Yet now everything seems to insist in happening differently. We were staying at a hotel in the middle of nowhere and decided to hike 2 hours along the coast to a restaurant on a remote cape. My friend was all dressed up in platform heels, a long pink skirt, and a white top. Remember this. They put remember that. As we walk into a restaurant, we notice a group of men all turn their heads toward us. This happens to us on a daily basis since we are conventionally attractive, so we didn't really bat an eye. However, throughout the whole lunch, they kept looking at us and talking to each other, and we couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. There are only two other couples there, so it felt very pointed. As we left the restaurant, those men got up and followed us immediately. In front of the restaurant, there were rocks leading into the sea and a few cars parked outside. We decided to take some photo on the rocks, but we saw the men starting to take photos of us. They were also constantly on their phones talking to someone while pointing their cameras at us. It was an open area and there wasn't another soul around. So it was obvious we got really weirded out, but we didn't have anyone to ask for help and we came on the trip alone and didn't want to call to worry our parents, so we decided we should head back to the hotel. For context, I have been blogging out the whole trip so far and was filming everything, including this entire incident. As we started walking back toward our hotel, we were walking on the rocks that ran parallel to a rural quiet road. Noticed that the men got in their car and were slowly driving behind us. After about 7 minutes, the rock finished and the coastline hit a wall where the water met the land. The road we had been following went into a very thick, bushy area. These men were still creeping after us in their car the whole time. We knew if we went down the road into the bushes, they would probably try to kidnap us. To avoid the road, we decided to walk through the water to get to the next headland. The tide was quite high, over our knees, and I remember filming the whole thing. I was walking through the water with my friend in her platform heels and long skirt getting soaked. We kept looking back at the men who had stopped the car opposite to where we entered the water. They actually got out of the car and were just standing there watching us walk through the sea. We eventually made it to the other side of and sat on a bench, watching them watch us until they finally drove off. Now, it's been 3 minutes now. This is nice reading. The reason we're freaking out is that I recently went to find the footage for a birthday post for my friend. I wanted to make an edit of our iconic moments, and I saw that the footage have completely changed. In the footage of us talking, taking pictures by the sea, where it was definitely just us and those men, there are suddenly random women in bikinis right next to us who were never there. Most importantly, the footage of us in the water is now somehow timestamped on a completely different day, and we are wearing different clothes, which means going to that restaurant and walking through the water has happened on different days. To add to that, the men and their car are nowhere to be seen. I watched the 20 minutes of us in the water and I never once mentioned the car or panned the camera towards them. It just looks like we are randomly walking through deep water for no reason. We both are 100% sure we filmed those men while we were walking through the water. We talk about them in the video and afterwards for the blog. Even weirder, I called a close friend who wasn't on the trip but who have told this story to like I have told this story countless times, and he told me he's never heard of it in his life. He was genuinely surprised why we wouldn't have mentioned something so crazy. My friend and I both have the same exact memory of us walking through the water, and because those men from the restaurant were after us. She thinks we experience, and this is the topic, quantum immortality. That maybe in the original timeline something bad happened to us, and our conscience just jumped to this version of reality. I wish this was a telephone glitch, but the fact that we are wearing different clothes in those two videos just signify that it's not. I have reset my phone numerous times and it doesn't go back. Also, I watched the videos numerous times in the last 2 years and they were always the same as we remember. It's like our memories exist in a world that doesn't match the physical facts anymore. Has anyone else experienced this shit? Da, 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 da. So, first, what do you think of that? And the topic that I brought, that is quantum immortality. Did you know about quantum
I've
immortality?
never heard of quantum immortality.
For me, this is also the first time.
So this is the idea that you just live on different timelines throughout infinity.
Not through infinity, I believe, like in your, if you're set to live 80 years, like in those 80 years, maybe you jump
Mm.
timelines when something really bad is gonna happen to you. And for example, like they say in the comments, they like a lot of people are commenting on their like response, and they said they think that they died, that these guys have something to do with it. Maybe they kidnapped them. Have they? Maybe in one time, like they actually went to the bushy area, and they kidnapped them and killed them.
Whoa.
So their consciousness just jumps to
To
a,
a place where these men do not exist.
in this case, to a place where these men do not exist.
Mm.
But somehow there's a glitch in the mentality, and they still remember this happening.
Did you ever watch the show Quantum Leap?
No,
Have you ever heard of Quantum Leap
no,
with Scott Bakula?
no. Oh, it's good back. That's a bad name. For it.
It was an old TV show where I honestly, I mean, I watched Quantum Leap a few times, but it was just like, yeah, this guy who just like traveled through different realities. I don't know that it has anything to do with this,
No,
but
but do you think
like,
it's possible? Do you think?
I mean, I think any of this stuff is possible. I think that like when I feel like as I get older, the like whole idea of reality is uh, less
Solid.
solid. Yeah, and like especially now with AI, like you look at that, and like that kind of stuff calls into question like everything about reality. I think because you're just like,
Ha-
well, if that can be created in like a computer, what's to say that this wasn't created in a computer? And like then it's just like all a part of like, and then you start to go down those like rabbit holes in your head where it's just like, well, it could be this, it could be that, and that's like really hard to fathom. But
Have any glitch happened to you in reality that you're like, what the? Like, how did that happen? Or anything that I think is a glitch in reality. For example, in Chicago, I have this happen. Like a friend was coming to do a show, one show. Like he was here to teach stand up in Spanish, and he came to Chicago. And when he was visiting. I was super busy. Those weeks were like terrible at work. I didn't have any time. He's visiting Chicago, and I was in my girlfriend's house and I was running late to work. I went down to grab the DB bike, and for some reason, the whole thing was like not working, the whole rail. So like I tried with the electrical ones. I was like, okay, maybe it's the electrical ones. I tried to the other ones. The thing just like on said hook it, but it was still hooked.
mm-hmm.
So I lost like 7 minutes just trying to figure out the thing, and just like I canceled the ride trying to get the refund. I was like, fuck this. I walked to another like rail, and I found one bike that was like just there. I was like, okay, I'll take this one. I grab it and I'm biking to work and going fast because like I just lost a lot of time. I'm gonna be late. And in the way, like I'm just passing a group and I hear my name, and I turn and it's this guy that I was not gonna be able to see, and he's like, "Oh, so good to see you." And actually, I didn't see you I didn't see him later because I couldn't. I was too busy. But I saw him. We took a picture. And it was such a good moment, and then I could go into work. But I thought like the possibilities
Right.
of that happening, like like matching with one person in Chicago. That is like a fucking big city. And everything that happened, that if I just grabbed the bike and the DB bikes were working, I would not have seen him. If I choose a different route, I would not have seen him. If he didn't cross that street at that moment, I would not have. It was so many things that like this is
Yeah,
weird.
I do think about that kind of stuff, just in terms of, yeah, you're like, if you see somebody like that, where, I mean, that's an instance where you wanted to see him and you had it in your mind that you would. Like, I've seen people before where I'm like, well, there's that person right there. And it's just crazy to think about, like,
All
all the
the
things that brought us at that point in time together on this planet and, like, passing each other, you know? That kind of stuff is pretty crazy. I feel like the I don't know, like, do you have any thoughts about deja vu?
uh,
Like, I've experienced deja vu a lot, and that's always a really kind of like strange thing to
yeah.
just be like,
Have you experienced this knowing it's a deja vu? Because sometimes people like, oh, maybe you experienced something similar. But I have had deja vus doing something that's like I have never done this.
yeah, I mean, I've for sure had things where I'm like, I am somewhere that I've never been before, and you're like, that was this feels like I've experienced this moment.
What is the craziest one that you have had? This is my craziest deja vu. Uh, when I was in school in Venezuela, we have like for some reason we have like music class, and I remember we were doing in the deja vu. It was a dream for me, and in the dream we were like all in like in a square. It was like in group of like four lines of four, so we were like a square. And the thing is, like every time they hit the drum, we have to turn like 90 degrees. So it looked like a marching band kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the pam 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 boom pam 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 boom, and I remember doing this exercise, and then like 3 months later, we're in music class. They're like, okay, we're gonna do four lines of four, and we're gonna every time he said this is a new exercise, and he I remember when he said this is a new exercise that we're gonna try today, and every time I hear the drum, I was like, we're gonna turn around, like this is not, I know this one,
Right, right.
and this like, and he was like, no, this is the first time we're doing this one, and I was so like puzzled, I was like. Because I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't need the rest of the explanation. Like, no, I know this one,
Yeah.
and that was the weirdest. Because usually you get that deja vu. It's like, oh, I remember this, and then you keep going. This is like, no, I remember and I know what's following.
Yeah, see, I've never read anything like that. Mine is more just like truly just being like in a location and just you're just like I've experienced this before. It's not like I've seen that building before. It's like no, I've experienced like this moment where it just feels like I either dreamt this at some point or I've been here and everything that's around me and that's happening around me is similar to what that was too.
Okay, what would be your explanation of why that happens?
Well, I think that would maybe be a part of the whole thing of like if you could say that there's like multiple realities, then that would be like the best evidence for it because you're just like you're experiencing something that you think you've already experienced before, but you in your like mind and what you've lived or what you think you've lived, there's no way you could have. So,
It might be that, or for me, it might be that you saw the movie Arrival,
mm-hmm.
that the aliens is like, no, we don't. Time is not linear. You
Yeah.
can bend it.
See, that's one thing that I'm like, I've tried, like, I've, I've tried to read these, like, theoretical things because it is interesting, but I'm, like, too dumb to grasp it.
You're not.
Oh, thank
You're
you. But
a really clever guy.
the whole, like, time is linear thing and, like, time is a flat circle and all that kind of stuff, that stuff, like, I've tried to wrap my head around it and just be like, I can understand where it's like everything doesn't happen like this. It all happens kind of like
Maybe
it's
at the
all like
same time.
yeah, it's all at the same time, and you're just like moving through it in different ways. But we can only really process it as like dun 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 dun. Dun.
Hmm.
So I mean, that could be what it is too. But then wouldn't that also just be then multiple realities too? Well, I guess not.
It can be because it can be like the kind of proof. it's a theory, but apparently there's so much scientific base for this that there's another universe exactly like ours, but it's going backwards.
Wow.
And it's like in their timeline, going backwards in time. That's the norm. Like you,
You start old and then you go to
yeah, you start old, and it's like, uh,
what if that's like the meeting ground where it's just like
yeah. At some point, we get to the medium.
right.
Like all of that for me, time space, like this kind of quantum, like dimension is so interesting. Like, for example, like, there's one like I read the comments. There's one guy's the comments like I have this memory of I was in a trip with my family and I was like 5 or 6 and I run behind a ball and a car hit me and it hit me so hard and I flew and I end up in like a ditch and like everything was blurry and then black out and when I gained conscious again it was 3 days before and my mom was asking me if I already packed everything for that trip.
Wow.
So like maybe he died in that timeline
But went back.
and went back.
Right. Wow.
So it's like, and like these are experiences that have happened to people, but someone says something with miracles, like miracles cannot be scientifically proved, but that doesn't mean they do not exist. The things like we cannot measure them, and I believe it's the same with like these kind of experiences. Since science cannot kind of like measure, like oh, how many jumps have you done in timeline? We kind of like do it like oh, this is sci-fi, and we put a catalog on it that takes a little bit of the credibility.
Mhm.
But I truly believe well with the Mandela effect that we're shifting lines constantly,
Oh yeah.
and with everything they're doing I love when they're like oh we have a drone like the collider the atoms collider and we are making it bigger and the first time we use it like the light went out for the whole world for 1 second and then it came back
That happened.
like with the CERN collider, but I don't know if it's the whole world, but they took the light of like a whole like town,
Wow.
but it for a second, so no one pay attention to it. It's like a flicker,
Yeah.
and but since then, like a lot of time like changes, like the Monopoly guy having the monocle or not, cornucopia having the fruit of the
Bernstein
looms.
Bears.
Yeah, for me, Fruit of the Looms is the perfect example because like that have to have a cornucopia, and they're like, no, we have never. It's like, why, bitch? Why would I know what a cornucopia is? Like, there's no possible reason that I will know what a cornucopia is just for to explain that it was in your
That stuff
logo.
is crazy. Where it's just is like that's the kind of stuff that is like really freaky. Where it's like not just one person has that. It's like a whole collective of
Yeah,
people are like, no, we all remember this as this, and someone's like, yeah, me too. So it's like, yeah, how did that happen? Where like all of their brains remembered it
I
this
believe it's a
way, and
time
then
shift.
yeah,
It's like a small jump. This is really interesting, and I would love. Actually, I will find if there's a documentary about this, because I believe like I didn't know about it, but I think quantum immortality is possible and is extremely interesting. If I can find people that is like no, like I have this timeline that's something I believe happened to me,
right.
but I have the memory, but there's no proof of that happening because it in this timeline it never happened.
It's also like I mean, you think about like what you perceive is not what is there. Like your perception and like your vision and everything is like just a fraction of what is actually going
That
on
freaks me
around
out a
you.
little bit.
That scares me too. Like,
That freaks
but like, cause it's like then you're like, okay, well, am I correct on anything? I guess because it's like, but like everything you look at, apparently, it's just is like a very small percentage of what you actually see around you.
well, and even between humans, it changed. Like there's like humans that can smell truffles.
Hmm.
Like pigs, they can like smell truffles at far, and there's humans that can see like a million more colors. And my head cannot fathom that. It's like, what
Right.
do you mean?
Or just like, I mean, not to, but like psychedelic drugs. Like if you take like they like show like the brain chemistry or like the brain activity. of somebody on that, and it's like all of these synapses start like firing that aren't normally firing. So like your brain is just like this huge, powerful thing that you only get like a tiny bit of, or you can only access a tiny bit of. So like if you are able to access 100% of that, and who knows what you could be capable of, or what you would actually perceive
Yeah.
around you that would allow you to like manipulate
Yeah, we're
reality.
gonna end with this one so I can like puzzle your minds a little bit. Like we experience sight through our eyes, and we cannot see a bunch of different light. We cannot see ultraviolet. We cannot see like infrared. So there's a lot more light frames that we don't see. We hear through our ears, and our ears, I believe it's like between 22 to 45, something like that, hertz. We cannot like listen like I, and don't fact check me on that, invisible person, but we have like a limit. And for example, I read and I talk about it in the podcast that plants actually scream
I've heard that
when you
too.
cut them.
Mm,
They make like a ticking sound, like. But we humans don't hear that. But dogs and cats can hear it. So that's crazy. And so there's a range of of noise we don't get.
have you read anything about like the mushroom systems underground?
Oh yeah, a little
How
bit.
they're all connected and like they communicate, like their communication from like one end of a forest to like another. It's like just a giant
A giant
communicate, like a
connection.
neural network basically of just like these plants are all connected and communicating because that's how they know how to spread. Is like they're like once they get to somewhere and they're like we can't, like this is not a good place to keep going, then that information gets like sent back and it starts like
To grow
to
somewhere else.
grow somewhere else.
So you see, like, so there's a lot, like, what I'm trying to say, like, in taste is the same. I believe we cannot experience a lot of the taste. And all of this with all of our senses. So imagine if you have another, like, piece, like, we see through our eyes, hear through our ears, taste in the tongue. Imagine if you have another piece of, like, in your body that can get a sense that you don't even know exists.
Right.
Like we could have like another thing that I believe like is snakes or something like or no, I believe it's a reptile that through their bodies they can like know the color that is around them. And I believe chameleons do that. Chameleons like touch something and then they do the color. Like octopuses are like fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Like
octopuses are like the or octopi. They're like the those are like
crazy.
aliens. Yeah.
Those are aliens.
Yeah.
Like the way they camouflage, they can change their skin
Or you
texture.
like look at them, you know, they're invertebrates. So like I've seen the videos of there's like a little hole on a ship, and they'll be like on the deck of the ship, and they just like squeeze their
Sly.
entire body through that, and then just get out.
And I don't know if you know, in each of their like on their tentacles, but in each of the suction things, they have like a drill
Mm.
basically. So if that's what they use, they
To hold on.
no, they put when they grab like shells or like oysters, whatever, they cannot open them, but they drill it and then they blow air into that to force it to open.
Whoa. Yeah, they're like
Octopus are
incredible.
fucking crazy.
Right.
But imagine, so just imagine if you have another piece of like body part that can experience a new thing, we will be crazy. Like I believe like it, thinking about this get me is really weird. Like it's weird to feel that we experience like a fraction of what reality is, and your
Yeah.
brain, even what your brain catch everything. It's like I'm just gonna give this guy this part.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that you could handle it. Or, I mean, people would be freaking out more than they are now. If you could.
Exactly. And with that,
Right.
with we're gonna freak out. We're gonna end, but I'm gonna look if there's any docu series about quantum immortality because I believe it's such an interesting topic. And with that, we're gonna end. Anything you wanna say to the viewers or aliens or snakes, plants that are listening to us right now?
I guess all I have to say is adios.
Adios.